I have lived long enough to know that most people do not find happiness. They find busyness, they find duty. They find days that pass without complaint and call that a good life. I called it that too. I was wrong. My name is Eleanor Marsh. I was born in 1841 in a village outside Coventry, England, the second of 6 children, in a house that smelled of coal smoke and boiled cabbage and wet wool that never dried fast enough in winter. My father worked at the ribbon mill. My mother worked at everything else. We were not poor by the standards of our neighbours, but we were never far from it. I came to America in 1863, crossing the Atlantic in a ship that smelled like sickness, arriving in New York with one bag, one name, and the belief that a new country meant a new life. I am speaking to you now from near the end of that life, and I need to tell you something you are not going to want to hear. You are missing it. Not someday, not when you are older, right now. Today, you are sitting inside your life and you are missing it, and you believe, the way I believed, that happiness is something ahead of you, something you are still building toward, something that will arrive when the conditions are finally right, when the debt is paid, when the children are grown, when the house is finished, when the hard season passes. It does not arrive like that. It never did. Not for me. Not for anyone I have ever known. Happiness is not something you reach. It is something you notice. And most people are too busy waiting for it to notice it at all. I did not understand that until I was old enough that understanding it could not help me anymore. That is the cruelest part. You only see it clearly when it is too late to go back. I married in 1866. His name was Thomas Marsh. He was a quiet man, a serious man. He had come from Ohio stock, farmers, people who believed that silence was strength and sentiment was weakness. I thought I admired that in him. I thought steadiness was the same as love. I was 25 years old, and I had been raised to believe that a good husband was one who worked hard and did not drink and came home. Thomas was all of those things. I told myself that was enough. We settled in Pennsylvania. We had a farm, not large, but ours. I bore 5 children. I raised 4. We lost our second son, James, in the winter of 1872. He was 3 years old, and the fever took him in 4 days, and I did not let myself grieve the way I needed to, because there were 3 other children who needed feeding, and a husband who did not know how to hold grief. And so I swallowed mine and kept moving. That was the first piece of happiness I buried, and did not know I was burying it. Not the grief. I am not saying grief is happiness. I am saying that when you swallow pain that needs to come out, you do not just lose the pain. You lose the softness too. You close something in yourself to stop the ache, and you do not realize you have also closed the door to everything that would have made the rest of your life warmer. I became efficient after James died, capable. I ran that household like a mill. I fed people and mended things and planned seasons, and never once sat down and asked myself if I was actually present for any of it. I thought that was strength. I was not strong. I was just far away from the people I loved, standing right next to them. You think you know what I mean when I say that. You think you understand it. You are nodding and thinking, yes, I should be more present. And then tomorrow morning you will sit at your table and your mind will be somewhere else, and you will not see the face across from you. You will not notice the way the light comes in. You will not hear what is being said underneath what is being said. You will think about what needs doing, and you will do what needs doing, and the day will pass, and then another, and another, until one day you are sitting where I am sitting, and you are trying to remember the ordinary mornings, and they are gone. Not the large moments, the ordinary ones. You cannot get those back. You cannot manufacture a memory of presence from a decade of absence. When they are gone, they are gone. That is the thing no one tells you when you are young and busy and certain you are building something. You are spending something. You are spending it every single day, and you only get so much. Thomas and I were not unhappy people. That is the strange and painful thing I have had to admit to myself in these last years. We were not miserable. We did not fight badly or often. We built a real life together, a working life, a life that kept moving forward the way a good fire keeps going if you feed it correctly. But we were never close. I did not see that clearly until he was dying. He died in the spring of 1909. He was 67 years old. His heart gave out slowly, over about 3 months, and for those 3 months I sat with him every day. And for the first time in 43 years of marriage, we talked. Not about the farm, or the children, or the bills, or the weather. We talked about things we had never said out loud. He told me he had been afraid most of his life that I did not really need him, that I was so capable, so organized, so self-sufficient, that there had never been room in our marriage for him to feel necessary. That he had loved me and had not known how to say so because every time he moved toward tenderness, I had already moved past it into the next task. I sat there in that room, and I heard that, and I did not know what to do with it. Because he was right. I had built a marriage that ran well and felt empty. And I had told myself the emptiness was just the nature of things. I had told myself that was what adult life looked like. I had told myself that love was what you did, not what you said or showed or felt. I was wrong. I was so wrong. And by the time I understood that, I had 3 months left to say so. We did say so in the end. I want you to know that. Those 3 months were the closest Thomas and I ever were. I held his hand more in those 3 months than in the 40 years before. We sat in the quiet, and it was not the same quiet as before. It was a different kind, softer, sadder, but real. I am grateful for those 3 months, and I have spent every year since asking myself why it took him dying to get us there. Here is what I think. I think people are afraid of tenderness, especially people who have been through hard things. And in the world I grew up in, almost everyone had been through hard things. You lost children. You watched people go hungry. You worked until your body broke down, and then you worked more. Softness felt like something you could not afford, and so you put it away. You tell yourself you will be soft later, when things are easier, when there is time. There is never time. There is only now, and then there is not. I put tenderness away when James died in 1872. I picked up efficiency instead. I carried efficiency for 40 years, and it kept the household running, and it kept me from falling apart, and it cost me everything warm I might have had. That is the trade no one explains to you. You think you are being strong. You are being distant. You are being unavailable. You are building walls and calling them character. The people around you learn to stop reaching through, and one day you wake up in a house full of people who love you in the way you taught them to love you, from a careful distance, and you wonder why you feel alone. My oldest daughter, Ruth, was a good woman, hard-working, serious, capable. She was like me. I was proud of that. I should have been worried. She moved to Ohio when she married in 1894. She wrote letters. I wrote back. We communicated the way our family communicated, with information, not feeling. How are the children? How is the harvest? The weather here has been cold. Your father's knee is troubling him again. That kind of letter. Years of those letters. I did not tell her I loved her in writing until she was ill. She had a sickness that came on her fast in 1911, and I wrote a letter then that said what I should have said in every letter for 17 years. She recovered. She lived another 12 years after that. But I think often about those 17 years of letters that said nothing real. I had a daughter who needed to know she was loved, and I sent her weather reports. You are doing this too. You know you are. You think the people close to you know how you feel because you are there, because you provide, because you show up. They do not always know. Some of them are waiting. Some of them have been waiting for years. Some of them have stopped waiting and have made their peace with never hearing it. And that is the saddest thing of all. Not that you never said it, but that they stopped expecting you to. Do not wait until someone is ill. Do not wait until you are. I want to tell you something about happiness now. The real thing, not the idea of it. There was a morning in the summer of 1878. I remember it with more clarity than most days of my life. The children were small. Ruth would have been 10, the younger two still close to the ground. Thomas had gone out early to the east field, and I was in the kitchen. I had bread rising. The windows were open because it was warm already, and the light was coming in from the east, and Ruth came downstairs barefoot with her hair not yet done, and she sat at the table and started talking. I cannot even remember what she said. Something about a dream she had. Something silly. And the two little ones came tumbling in after her, still in their nightclothes, and for 20 minutes we were all just there together in that morning, in that light, talking about nothing important. I remember thinking, I should be getting on with the work. I did get on with the work. I got on with the work for 40 more years. And now that morning in 1878 is one of the clearest things I can see when I close my eyes. The light and the bread and the children's voices and the ordinary warmth of it. That was happiness. Right there. I had it. It was in my hands, and I let it pass because I was thinking about what came next. That is the secret no one wants to hear. Happiness is not grand. It is not the achievement. It is not the arrival. It is the Tuesday morning in 1878 that you almost missed because you were already thinking about the afternoon. You are doing that right now. You are already thinking about the next thing. You have been thinking about the next thing most of your life. Stop. Stop and look at what is in front of you. Not for my sake, for yours. Because I am telling you, from 83 years of living, that the moments you are rushing past are the moments you will ache for when there is nothing left but memory. I thought for a long time that happiness was something you earned, that there was a life you were supposed to build, and if you built it correctly, if you were dutiful and patient and responsible and enduring, that happiness would be the result, that it would come like payment at the end of honest labour. That is not how it works. I was dutiful. I was responsible. I endured. I outlived a son and a husband and 3 of my 6 grandchildren and every certainty I ever built my life around. And none of that duty added up to a feeling of joy. It added up to a life that was solid and survived. That is not nothing, but it is not the same thing. Happiness was never in the achieving of it. It was in the noticing, in the pausing, in the willingness to feel what was actually there instead of pushing through to the next thing that needed doing. I could not see that when I was young. I was moving too fast. I was too afraid that if I stopped moving, everything would fall apart. What actually fell apart was the softness, the presence, the closeness I could have had with Thomas and with Ruth and with the younger ones, if I had only been able to sit still long enough to let it in. I was there for 43 years of marriage. I was not always present. There is a terrible difference between those 2 things. Let me tell you something about loneliness. Not the loneliness of being alone in a room. Anyone can understand that. I mean the loneliness of being surrounded by people who love you and still feeling like no one sees you. That is a stranger and more terrible kind. That is the loneliness you build yourself, slowly, over decades, by being too capable and too closed and too proud to let people see that you needed them. I built that kind. I built it brick by brick over 40 years, and I called it self-sufficiency, and I was proud of it, and it was the loneliest way to live I can imagine. People in my time did not speak the way people speak now. You did not say, "I am struggling." You did not say, "I am frightened." You did not say, "I need you close to me tonight." You endured. You kept moving. You showed your love by working, and your strength by not breaking, and your character by never asking for anything. I understood that. I believed that. And I died a little inside every year I lived by it. Because human beings are not built for that kind of silence. We are built to reach toward each other. We are built to be known. And when you spend your whole life making yourself unknowable, what you are really doing is ensuring that no one will ever truly find you. I was not found until Thomas was dying. Even then, only partly. That is one of the great sorrows of my life. Not that I was unloved. I was loved. But I was not truly known. And I think being known by someone, really seen, not just provided for and depended on, I think that is one of the things happiness is actually made of. I did not let myself be known until it was almost over. Do not do that. There is a thing that happens to women of my generation. We are raised from birth to be useful. Useful daughters, useful wives, useful mothers. And we get very good at it, remarkable at it. We can run a household and raise children and tend the sick and make something from nothing and keep the entire structure of a family standing by sheer force of endurance, and we are told that is noble and good, and I believe it is. But somewhere in that usefulness, a woman can lose track of herself, of what she wants, of what makes her feel alive rather than functional. I did that. I was so busy being necessary that I forgot to notice what I loved. I used to love music. My mother had a way of singing while she worked, and I knew every song she knew, and there were years in my childhood when I sang too. When I came to America, when I married Thomas, when the children came, and the farm came and the years came, I stopped singing. Not deliberately. I just never found the moment. It was always something else. And then the years passed, and it would have felt foolish, an old woman singing in the kitchen.
and I told myself it was not important. It was important. Not the singing specifically, the part of me that the singing came from, the part of me that wanted something for no practical reason, the part that was a person and not just a function. I lost that part slowly, and I did not mourn it because I did not notice it leaving.
You are losing parts of yourself right now, quietly, without ceremony. You are setting down the things that make you feel like yourself, the pleasures, the small joys, the things you love that serve no practical purpose. And you are telling yourself you will pick them up again later when there is time, later when life settles. Later does not come, or it comes when you are too old and too tired and too distant from who you were to find your way back. Pick it up now. I want to speak plainly about regret because I think people misunderstand it. Regret is not a feeling you have about one decision. It is not about the road not taken. It is not romantic. Real regret is a slow accumulation. It is what happens when you spend enough years making the same small wrong choice, pushing warmth away, deferring presence, mistaking duty for love. And then one day you look back and you see that all those small wrong choices added up to something large and permanent and unfixable. My regrets are not dramatic. I did not do something terrible. I did not betray anyone or abandon anyone or commit some great wrong. My regrets are smaller and stranger and harder to explain. I regret that I made Thomas feel unnecessary. I regret the 17 years of letters to Ruth that said nothing real. I regret the mornings I rushed past when the children were small and the light was good and the bread was rising. I regret the conversations I ended early because there was work to do. I regret that I waited until people were dying to tell them they mattered. I regret every time I chose efficiency over warmth and called it practicality. None of these are large things. Each one seems small on its own, but together they make a life that was lived at a distance from itself. And standing at the edge of a life like that, looking back at all of it, you feel the smallness of each wrong choice and the enormous weight of all of them together. And you cannot go back. You cannot take one moment back. That is what people mean when they say they have regrets, not a list of dramatic failures, a quiet, accumulated distance from the life they could have been living. You think you have time. I know you think that. I thought that for 60 years. I thought there would always be another season, another chance, another morning to be present in the way I kept meaning to be present. I thought the conversations I kept putting off would still be there when I got to them. I thought the softness I kept setting aside would be easy to pick back up. You do not have as much time as you think. I am not saying this to frighten you. I am saying it because it is the truest thing I know, and no one said it to me plainly enough when I needed to hear it. Everyone I knew in my life was too polite about time, too gentle with the illusion that there was more of it. No one sat me down and said, "Eleanor, the mornings you are wasting will not come back. The people you love will not stay available forever. The distance you are building will become permanent if you do not stop building it now." No one said that. I am saying it to you. Stop what you are doing right now, in whatever way you are doing it, and ask yourself, what am I putting off that I should not be putting off? Whose face am I not looking at? What am I not saying? What am I rushing past every single day in the name of everything else? Because I know the answer. I know it because I lived it. You are putting off the people. You are always putting off the people. And the people are the only thing that matters, not the achievement, not the security, not the house or the land or the reputation. The people. The ordinary mornings with the people, the quiet evenings, the conversations that go nowhere in particular, the presence, the willingness to be in the room with someone and actually be there. That is what happiness is. I know it sounds small. It is not small. It is everything. I'm going to tell you one more thing and then I am done. There was a night, late in Thomas's dying, when I sat beside him and held his hand, and I said, I did not know how to love you better. I did not know how. I knew how to care for you and provide for you and stand beside you through every hard thing. I did not know how to let you close. He looked at me for a long time without speaking. Then he said, I know that. I always knew that. And I loved you anyway. I have thought about that every day since. He loved me anyway. Through 43 years of my capable, closed, efficient, lonely self, he loved me anyway. And I did not let that love land. I kept it at arm's length. I kept him at arm's length. Not because I did not love him, because I did not know how to receive love without feeling like it was going to cost me something. Without feeling like if I leaned into it, I would not be able to stand upright anymore. That is the last thing I want to leave you with. Not just give love. Receive it. Let the people who love you actually reach you. Put down the armor. Stop managing the distance. Stop being so strong and so capable and so self-sufficient that no one can get close enough to matter. They are trying to reach you. Some of them have been trying for years. Let them in. I know what it costs to not let them in. I paid that price for most of my life, and I am paying it still, sitting here in this chair, with Thomas 10 years gone, and the children scattered and the farm long sold, trying to remember if I was ever truly present in my own life. I was, sometimes, in flashes. In the morning in 1878, with the bread and the light and the children's voices. In the last 3 months with Thomas. In a few conversations with Ruth that got through to something real. Those moments are what I have now. Those are what I would give everything to have had more of. You can have more of them. You are not old yet. You still have time to turn toward the people in front of you. You still have time to say the things that need saying and feel the things you have been too busy and too proud and too frightened to feel. Do not wait. Not another day. Not another morning. The light is right there. The people are right there. The happiness you have been searching for is right there in the ordinary moment you are about to rush past. Notice it. That is all. Notice it while you still can.